And they're off. On the line right now, we've got Liquor and Split and Scratcher in the Eye. They're your jammers. You can identify the jammers by the stars on the sides of their helmets.
Jammers are the individuals in the game who can put points on the scoreboard.
And Scratcher in the Eye just picked up lead jammer and then called off that bout. We'll talk about more of that in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, let me see a show of hands for people who've never seen roller derby before. All right, we're all in the same boat. Spider and I are going to run you through how the game works. On the line right now for the Breakneck Betties, Much Mayhem.
And Slay Miz donning the star as the jammer for the Heartless Heathers.
So we've already covered the fact that the jammers, the people with the stars on their helmets, they score points for their team. The way they do that is by being the first skater to break out of the pack and pass everybody else. Much Mayhem right now is on her scoring pass. As she goes through the pack, she will pick up 1 point for every person from the opposing team which she passes. So right there, she's all the way through. She picks up her points and calls off the game. She had 4 points on that pass. Both jammers are available to score points on their scoring passes, but only the lead jammer can call off the jam.
The skaters forming the foremost wall are known as the pack. They're comprised of 4 blockers per respective team. These blockers are attempting to shut down the jammer from the opposing team, preventing her from getting through.
Right now, we just saw Push Latush and Scrappy Go Lucky up front running a good wall on the Blast Unicorn, slowing down her pass. So there are penalties in roller derby, basically 2 different kinds: penalties against other players and penalties against the track. Things you can't do in roller derby is to hit a player from behind, hit a player with your forearm or your elbow,
Into the track in front of other skaters. That's called cutting the track.
Tripping. You can't go out of bounds and then come back in the front. And that's Super Six Pack breaking out up front and taking lead jammer for the Breakneck Betties. And Frenchie's on her way to the penalty box for 1 minute. She picked up a forearm penalty on her way by, working in the pack. So she's off the track for 1 minute due to that penalty.
This is her second trip to the penalty box, and a skater can only go to the box 6 times. The 7th time, that skater will be fouled out of the game.
On the line for the Heartless Heathers right now, Slay Miz.
And number 77, she's wearing the jammer helmet cover. That's Much Mayhem for the Breakneck Betties.
Slay Miz pushing hard right in the front. The Betties doing a good job staying in front of her. On the inside, Slay Miz breaks out and takes lead jammer for the Heartless Heathers.
Ripley, 426, now headed to the penalty box for the Breakneck Betties.
Both jammers duking it out on the line up there on their way around, and both teams jockeying for position. Slay Miz calls it off. King, what do you got?
Well, you can win the Rose City Roller Jammer Fiat. You can get your raffle tickets at the merch booth, and that's brought to you by Ron Talkin' Fiat.
Thank you, King. On the line for the Breakneck Betties, Chestnuts.
And that would be the Blast Unicorn for the Heartless Heathers. Lemon Stinger, number 36, also headed to the penalty box. She is going to join Ripley
And it's Chestnuts breaking out. Oh, she picked up a forearm on her way through the pack. She'll be spending a minute in the penalty box, which will leave the Blast Unicorn on the track in what we call a power jam.
The Blast Unicorn is now in a position to rack up some pretty significant points for the Heartless Heathers.
So for 1 minute, the Breakneck Betties don't have a jammer on the track. And right now what you're seeing is a passive offense being played by the Heartless Heathers. They're just staying in position and letting the Blast Unicorn push the Breakneck Betties forward.
The Blast Unicorn passed on that scoring run, putting 5 points on the scoreboard. What that means is she got points for the jammer and the blocker sitting in the penalty box because she legally passed the hips of the most behind skater in the pack.
Breakneck Betties have all their blockers back on the track, and it's going to cause a little more trouble for the Blast Unicorn while she racks up those points.
And the Breakneck Betties, and you losing Joyride and Lemon Stinger. The pivot is the individual wearing the stripe on her helmet cover, and she generally is the one in control of the pack speed.
The Blast Unicorn racking up points for the Heartless Heathers right now. And that's Chestnuts, was back in and got dropped back out to the penalty box. She picked up a back block that's hitting a skater from behind and causing an event on the track. And that jam is off. Huge jam for the Blast Unicorn. King, you got anything?
Well, I can see right down there in the Pabst Blue Ribbon penalty box. Right now they've got 3 players from the Breakneck Betties. That's a half a six-pack in the Pabst Blue Ribbon backs. We call that bad girls, but good beer. All by Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Scratcher in the Eye is now wearing the jammer helmet cover for the Heartless Heathers. In the previous jam, the Blast Unicorn was able to dominate, putting the Heartless Heathers in the lead. Liquor and Split was the last line of defense for the Breakneck Betties, meaning that she was the last skater to try to defend the position and shut down Scratcher in the Eye.
Breakneck Betties getting some more skaters back on the track. They're suffering from penalty trouble right now. Scratcher in the Eye with a beautiful pirouette through the line. Picks up another 5 points.
Joyride was released from the penalty box. She went in to work with Liquor and Split to try to shut down Scratcher in the Eye. Scratcher in the Eye gently makes her way on the outside for a 5-point scoring pass for the Heartless Heathers.
Breakneck Betties doing their very best to wall up in the front. They can only hold her in position for so long. Liquor and Chestnuts around the outside is on her scoring pass. Huge hit right at the end of that jam. King, what do you got?
Well, Bridgetown Chiropractic. The hardest hits of the night are brought to you by Bridgetown Chiropractic.
Back on the line for your Heartless Heathers, that's Slay Miz.
And much mayhem for the Breakneck Betties.
They've actually cleared the benches. All the skaters are on the track, and this is regular derby.
What?
Jammer's working hard in the backfield trying to find an advantage to break through that line. You need to be the first person through to score points. Well, to be able to have that advantage of calling off the game, and it's much mayhem.
Working in the pack for the Heartless Heathers is Nacho Lucky Day, Mistress of the Knife, Slay Miz, and Bella Constrictor. But the Heartless Heathers lost a blocker to the penalty box. That's Mistress of the Knife.
Slay Miz breaks out, it's on her pass, and much mayhem calls that off. King, what do you got?
OHSU Sports Medicine is proud to be an official medical care team of the Rose City Rollers. That's OHSU Sports Medicine.
Liquor and Split. And they're off. Liquor and Split up front, driving that blue line forward. They're putting up quite a fight. She breaks through and is lead jammer. Last Unicorn pops out. She's on her scoring pass as well. And Mel Mangles is on her way to the penalty box for a multiplayer block.
Mel Mangles' first trip to the penalty box, number 5 for the Heartless Heathers.
A multiplayer block is where a skater holds on to another skater in order to block a player in that space in between. You're not allowed to do that in this game either.
You can touch your own teammates.
New Belgian Brewing Company, Fat Tire Ale, Ranger IPA. Grab one from concessions.
Such a big voice. You can touch them, you just can't hold on to them. And that's Much Mayhem plowing her way along up in the front end. Lead jammer, Breakneck Betties.
The Breakneck Betties currently trying to catch up to the 39-point lead in favor of the Heartless Heathers.
Scratcher in the eye, taking a beating from the Betties in the backfield. They drag her down and slow her to the very back of the pack. Well, Much Mayhem picks up another 5 points for the Breakneck Betties. Scratcher in the eye with one more to get by, but it's Chestnuts. Really, some rough play out there right now, Spider. Knife with a great push, tries to get her out, can't quite do it.
Big Brothers, Big Sisters Sports Buddies. Rose City Rollers is proud to be a Sports Buddy partner, encouraging young people to get out and get active. That's Big Brothers, Big Sisters Sports Buddies.
Joyride number 360, now at the Tonkin Fiat Jammer line.
And for your Heartless Heathers, it's Les Mis taking a beating in the middle of the pack. She tries to break out on the outside and is recycled to the very back of the pack.
Joyride is the lead jammer. Again, Breakneck Betties trying to make up that 30-point difference as the Heartless Heathers have maintained their lead. Joyride through on the inside lane, the lane closest to the inside of the track.
Joyride and Megahertz playing a little bit of amazing defense up in the front, dragging Slay Miz all the way to the back of the pack when she had almost broken out. Megahertz gets a multiplayer block and is spending a minute in the penalty box. Joyride dropped to the inside.
By Mel Mangles, the pivot, number 5, I believe.
And she calls it off. You are correct. King!
DerbyFit.com. Spark, rock, repeat, recover. Rose City Rollers Independent Advocare Distributor. That's DerbyFit.com and Spark by Advocare.
Liquor and Split, number 523.
And pow, it's the Blast Unicorn.
I always want to say, the Blast Unicorn.
Breakneck Betty's doing a great job working over the Blast Unicorn in the backfield while Liquor and Split's driving that line up front and trying to break out.
The Breakneck Betties have done a nice job for at least the previous 3 jams in maintaining and taking control in that lead jammer position and driving up their points. They're quickly encroaching upon the Heartless Heathers, who maintain at 59.
The Last Unicorn breaks out. And Liquor and Split is on her way to the penalty box, along with Lemon Stinger.
I call that announcer karma. Oh. Back block penalty called on the Blast Unicorn. As soon as she sits down, that will release the opposing jammer, Liquor and Split, However, the Blast Unicorn will only have to stay in the penalty box as long as Liquor and Split did, which wasn't very long.
And we do that because Derby's no fun without a jammer. Liquor and Split breaks out and picks up 5 quick points.
Northern Lights Out and Scrappy Go Lucky were working at the back of the pack. However, now the pivot for the Breakneck Betties is headed to the penalty box. That's Northern Lights Out.
Penalty trouble can get you a long way in this game as long as it's happening to the other team. Both jammers out, and we're playing short packs. Liquor and Split weaving her way around and is up against 2 more Heartless Heathers.
Liquor and Split looking for an assist there by Scrappy Go Lucky. However, it looks like they switch it up a little and work some defense. What that means is they're actively trying to shut down the Blast Unicorn.
And if they can slow her down and drag her to the back, Liquor and Split.
The Portland Mercury, food, arts, and entertainment news all for you. Portland Mercury.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're a Heartless Heathers fan, make some noise right now!
And the icebox went crazy.
It's so chilly in here. Much mayhem on the line for the Breakneck Betties.
Against Scratcher in the Eye.
Scratcher in the Eye. Both jammers having a hard time getting through the pack right now. Huge hit from Knife on Much Mayhem. And Much takes a cut. She'll be spending a minute in the penalty box. Scratcher in the Eye once again in a Heartless Heathers power jam.
Scratcher in the Eye taking this opportunity to rack up some points, but a huge hit to the outside by Chestnuts. And
direction of play.
Northern Lights Out. The pivot heading back to the penalty box for Breakneck Betties.
Breakneck Betties throwing everything they have at that front line. Scratcher in the Eye. Dropped, and we got a forearm called on Automatic Weapon.
A 5-point scoring pass for Scratcher in the Eye.
Breakneck Betties down to 2 in the front line right now, but it's Chestnuts and Ripley going nuts out there. Chestnuts on her way to the penalty box for a direction of play.
Chestnuts checking in at the penalty box. They wave her off. She will stay on the track and wait in queue until one of the blockers from her team stands up in the penalty box. And what that means is that skater has 10 seconds remaining on her penalty.
Joe's Burgers, 4 locations, awesome burgers, and the official feeder of the Rose City Roller Volunteers. That is Joe's Burgers.
Chestnuts, Liquor and Split on the line up against Hard Ash, jamming for your Heartless Heathers.
Effie Stoneham now sitting in the penalty box.
On that line, Chestnuts and Liquor and Split trying to stop her. Liquor running her out. Drops her down, hoping she can drag her back. Liquor and Split on her way to the penalty box. And Chestnuts right behind her.
So Chestnuts, again, she was in queue to sit down in the penalty box. She just saw her opportunity. So now she will sit a minute. Liquor and Split will sit a minute. This means that their team is at a pack disadvantage.
Mel Mangles with a gigantic hit. Drops Much Mayhem on the outside line, but she gets right back up and weaves her way through. The king.
Kind bars. You can snack like there's no tomorrow. Woo! Kind bars.
Spider, I'm going to say that this is some of the roughest, most penalty-heavy derby I've ever seen in my whole life.
It is pretty penalty-heavy. Penalties could potentially become an issue in the second half, as a derby bout is made up of 2 30-minute periods. Currently, the Breakneck Betties have been in the penalty box 15 minutes. Heartless Heathers, about 10.
And we're back to play.
Well, what they're going to do is remove a penalty out there. There was a destruction of pack being called. They decided it didn't affect the game, so therefore they're going to take that penalty back.
Awesome. We're right back at it. Super six-pack on the line, jamming for the Breakneck Betties.
And interestingly, I think it's the first time at the line for a Super six-pack thus far in this jam.
And it's not her first time to the penalty box this evening. She just picked up a cut thanks to Mel Mangles.
Oh, dear.
Right behind her goes Megahertz. This will be a very short trip to the penalty box for both jammers.
But a nice strategy is the jammer for the Heartless Heathers didn't want to pass the point of no return, so she took herself out of play and she was on her knees. Beautiful.
And we've got Nacho Lucky Day on the line, jamming for the Heartless Heathers right now.
This is when the Nacho Lucky family goes crazy.
Super six-pack breaks out. Mel Mangles drops Super six-pack to the outside and drags her to the very back of the pack just to slow things down a little bit and give Nacho Lucky Day a chance to break out.
And what you saw was Effie Stoneham, 143, trying to bridge the pack to make sure that Mel Mangles remained in play, so it forced that jammer clear back behind Mel Mangles.
Because you not only have to come in behind the person who knocked you out, you have to come in behind anybody who got behind you while you were out. Nacho Lucky Day through for 5. Nacho Lucky Day back in it, taking a beating up front from Megahertz, who now drags her to the very back of the pack and recycles her run.
And again, you saw Joyride go in and try to shut down the difference in feet as she bridged the pack for Breakneck Betties.
I have a special Breakneck Betty sponsor, Strength Fit. They help the Betties continue breaking necks and dreams all through 2012 and 13. That's Strength Fit from Breakneck Betties.
Once again, Slay Miz on the line for your Heartless Heathers.
Much mayhem, number 77, donning a star here for the Breakneck Betties, going up against number 601, Slay Miz.
Up front, Slay Miz working hard with Scrappy Go Lucky, who couldn't quite drop her to the outside.
But much mayhem had already been through on that initial non-scoring pass that provided her the opportunity to take the coveted lead jammer position. She went in on a scoring pass. She picked up 5 points, and now she's through on a second scoring pass. She will pull 4 points.
Well, we got a couple other fantastic Breakneck Betty sponsors. That would be Moreland Vision Source and Kells Olympian. So if you're into helping out the Breakneck Betty, support their sponsors too. That's Moreland Vision Source and Kells Olympian.
Up for the Breakneck Betties right now, it's number 360, Joyride. And it's Scratcher in the Eye, breaking out, taking lead jammer with Joyride right behind her. Scratcher in the Eye is through, and she calls off that jam.
Well, Heartless Heathers have a great sponsor in Selwood Dog Supply and Cat Annex, the natural place for your pet needs. That's a Selwood Dog Supply and Cat Annex.
Thank you, King. On the line for your Heartless Heathers in this jam, it's number 17H. The Blast Unicorn.
Going up against 5-2-3, Liquor and Split.
Both teams working hard to keep their walls together. Scrappy-go-lucky up front right now, working over the Blast Unicorn and trying to slow her down and break out. She is not broken out and taken lead jammer yet. Liquor and Split working her way through the pack right now with 2 people to get by. Scrappy-go-lucky up front, just murdering.
Take out at the back of the pack, I believe, by number 71, Headache on Liquor and Split. Liquor and Split then trying to make her way around and through betwixt the pack.
Blast Unicorn works her way around the back. Nobody's looking, and she takes 5 points for the Icebox.
Push Latush working at the front of the pack with 120 Super 6-pack for the Breakneck Betties.
And French Tickler on her way to the penalty box. Couple of tumbles and some amazing acrobatics from Liquor and Split.
Headache and Hard Dash are doing a nice job in the center of the pack. French Tickler now sitting in the penalty box, the pivot for the Heartless Heathers.
Nacho Lucky Day with a beautiful block up front. Recycled. Liquor and Split all the way back into the pack.
She scoops right around number 26, Nacho Lucky Day.
Blast Unicorn working her way around. Takes a huge hit from Super 6-pack right as she was trying to call that off.
Well, a couple other fantastic partners from your Heartless Heathers. That's Kova Coffee, The Cruise Room, and Corkscrew Wine Bar. All fantastic Heartless Heather sponsors.
Les Mis goes up against Much Mayhem. Much Mayhem tries to make it through a sandwich up at the front, but Mel Mangles comes in for a sweep, runs a hip check on her, and tries to force her to the inside of the track.
Mel Mangles dragging her to the very back of the pack right now. Les Mis dropped out and is up against a massive red 4-wall up front.
Much Mayhem pulls through with a wide open lane on the inside of the track to take that lead jammer status for the Breakneck Betties.
Mel Mangles called out on what I think was a low block. A skating out of bounds.
I'd like to remind everybody to get out there and get your raffle tickets. We've got a couple fantastic prizes tonight. We've got a booty basket and a Fat Tire cruiser bike. Tickets are $1 each or 10 for $5, so buy them now, buy them frequently, and get in this raffle.
I feel like this game just started, but we're almost done with this first period. On the line is Joyride for Breakneck Alley. And up there is Scratcher in the Eye for the Icebox.
Scratcher and I getting forced to the back of the pack. We are going to have Joyride, Breakneck Betty, re-enter. However, the honor now goes to Scratcher in the Eye.
I've rarely seen anybody work as hard as Scratcher in the Eye did for that lead jam status just now. Joyride working hard to break around. She makes it out. Scratcher in the Eye on the outside. Excellent work by Knife. Gets her free, and she calls it off.
Well, I'd like to thank Black Cat Plumbing, your local neighborhood plumbing company, and proud to be part of the Rose City Rollers since 2009. That's Black Cat Plumbing.
Much Mayhem going up against the Blast Unicorn.
And Much Mayhem working away on the outside. Two more to get by.
The Blast Unicorn being supported by B. Hickson, Headache, Mad Eye Marley, and Hard Dash in the pack.
Blast Unicorn just super sneaky with that pass there. I didn't even see her.
Much Mayhem is supported by Megahertz, Chestnuts, Liquor and Split, and Northern Lights Out.
And it's halftime. Goodness gracious, looks like we're about to get back into this game. On the line for the Heartless Heathers, that's Scratcher in the Eye.
With Liquor and Split number 523 as the jammer for the Breakneck Betties. She is able to pull through first and cleanly to take a lead jammer status for the Breakneck Betties.
Scratcher in the Eye working her way through. One more to get by. She weaves it on the line and is on her scoring pass.
Megahertz was knocked out of bounds by Mel Mangles on turn 4.
Liquor and Split breaks out up front, calls it off after she picks up her points.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, get yourself an ice cool Pabst Blue Ribbon. They are the sponsor of our penalty box and the sponsor of our start whistle. So grab yourself a Pabst Blue Ribbon and enjoy.
On the line. For your Breakneck Betties, once again, it's Much Mayhem.
Going up against.
And breaking out up front for the Heartless Heathers, it's Nacho Lucky Day. And the Nacho Lucky Day section goes crazy.
Much Mayhem pulls around the pivot, the French Tickler, and then again around number 1 through 7, B. Hexen.
Nacho Lucky Day dropped out up front, dragged back, and calls it off.
3 more points on the scoreboard for the Heartless Heathers. Nacho Lucky Day.
Well, direct from Ron Tonkin Fiat, you can win the Rose City Roller Jammer Fiat, which you can see upstairs now. Get a raffle ticket at the merch booth and win a Ron Tonkin Fiat Jammer Fiat.
On the line for your Breakneck Betties in this jam, that's number 360, Joyride. And she just took lead jammer.
Jammer for Heartless Heathers is the Blast Unicorn.
Breakneck Betty's doing an excellent job setting up a wall in the back there and really slowing down the Blast Unicorn just until now when she finally breaks out on her scoring pass.
Chestnuts goes in for assist to help Joyride. Joyride puts her hands to her hips, calling off the jam.
Scrappy Go Lucky picked up a low block right there on the turn at the very end of that jam. She'll be spending a minute in the penalty box.
Bridgetown Chiropractic, DocBones.com. Get adjusted, support roller derby, and do it all at Bridgetown Chiropractic.
Liquor and Split busts through quickly right before the pivot line as she pulls around the pivot, actually. French Tickler to take lead jammer status for the Breakneck Betties.
And Scratcher in the Eye dropped out for a forearm on her way through the pack. That leaves Liquor and Split in a power jam.
And this is how, in part at least, how the Heartless Heathers really got and maintained that lead as the Breakneck Betties spent a lot of time with the jammer in the penalty box. This is an opportunity for Liquor and Split to shut down that point differential. She's trying to make her way around French Tickler and Slay Miz. Bridging of the pack by French Tickler and Headache, along with Effie Stoneham.
Heartless Heathers very careful to bridge that line out as far as they can. Megahertz drops in with some huge offense for her jammer. And the pack is moving again.
So the Heartless Heathers all pulled forward. They made that four wall. They were protecting their points, trying to force Liquor and Split to call off the jam before she put points on the scoreboard. However, she was able. The Breakneck Betties now sitting at 92. The Heartless Heathers with a lead at 120.
Check out our table near the entrance for fantastic Rose City Roller merchandise. If you can't find your size at the merch table, check out our full online store of merchandise at rosecityrollers.com.
Much mayhem jamming for the Breakneck Betties right now, trying to find her way through that blue wall that's been set up in front of her.
Scratcher in the Eye started out this jam in the penalty box, initially starting out in a power jam. Huge force out by number 3, Mistress of the Knife. Scratcher in the Eye was released from the penalty box. She got through quickly, picked up lead jammer status for the Heartless Heathers.
Up front, much mayhem with 2 more to get by, but one of them is Knife, who just dropped her to the out again and dragged her way back.
Nice movement by B. Hexen as she forces Much Mayhem to re-enter the pack behind her, as Much Mayhem did not want to incur a cutting the track penalty.
Mel Mangles doing her best, drops her to the out once again in the turn, and she's recycled to the very back of the pack.
OHSU Sports Medicine. Immediate care for Rose City Roller athletes through our sports medicine hotline at 503-494-4000. That's OHSU Sports Medicine.
He's watching the time. Joyride, number 360, donning the star for the Breakneck Betties against Nacho Lucky Day, number 26 for the Heartless Heathers.
Nacho Lucky Day driving forward, shrugging off some huge hits on the line. And still working her way forward. Joyride behind a wall of blue in the back.
Slay Miz French Tickler working with Mad Eye Marley, forming that defensive wall against the jammer for the Breakneck Betties.
Ripley with an amazing block right on the line, drops her down, and everybody's skating backwards.
It's like going in reverse.
And Joyride jumps back on and runs the line.
Nacho Lucky Day also back in the action. She's going to run into a 3-wall right in the center of the pack from the Breakneck Betties. She puts her hands to her hips, calling off the jam.
Since it's never too early to start thinking about the after party, the after party tonight is at Bossa Nova Ballroom. That's at 722 East Burnside. You can dance and party with DJ Gregarious. Once again, it's at the Bossa Nova Ballroom.
Scratcher in the eye out there for the Heartless Heathers.
Against Liquor and Split for the Breakneck Betties.
Scratcher up front with one more to get by, but that scrappy-go-lucky in her with Shove Me Tender moving into position.
Multiplayer block being assessed.
And there's been a cut called on Scratcher in the eye.
So Scratcher in the eye will sit down. We'll play Jammer Do-Si-Do. But again, Liquor and Split wasn't in the penalty box very long. Scratch in the eye only has to remain there as long as Liquor and Split was in the box. Liquor and Split going to try to make her way around Mel Mangles. Oh, Mel Mangles with a jammer takedown on the straightaway on Liquor and Split.
Scratcher in the eye having a difficult time getting around Chestnuts on the line.
Headache goes in for a huge hit on Liquor and Split. We're going to have Scratcher in the eye returning to the penalty box. This is now a power jam in favor of Liquor and Split. What's the misconduct? Scratcher in the eye picked up and was assessed a misconduct penalty. She's sitting in the penalty box. Again, Liquor and Split on a power jam, which is indicative that she is a solitary jammer on the track. Mel Mangles, the pivot, holding the front line, trying to run a sternum check on Liquor and Split. Liquor and Split trying to bust through. She makes her way around Mel Mangles for a 5-point scoring pass for the Breakneck Betties.
Scrappy-go-lucky jumps in and starts to clean the slate to clear the path for Liquor and Split.
The Blast Unicorn working with Mel Mangles up, forming that front wall. They're now going to attempt to bridge the pack. 5-point scoring pass for Liquor and Split.
The King.
Cars to Go. Meet the future of car sharing. Sign up today at carstogo.com.
$128 to 102, Heartless Heathers.
Much Mayhem will start out in a power jam. She gets an assist from Ripley, number 426. She's now going to try to bust through that defensive wall at the front of the pack. She gets shut down by Mistress of the Knife.
Scratcher in the eyes back on the track and weaving her way through. Quick on her feet. She's dropped in the turn.
By Ripley, number 426.
Working her way back up front. Scratcher in the eye takes lead jammer.
Much Mayhem trying to make her way around. The French Tickler, the pivot for the Heartless Heathers.
Penalty box is cleared and we'll be playing regular derby with 10 skaters on the track.
That's right. That penalty box is empty right now. That's the Pabst Blue Ribbon penalty box. That's a special place for bad girls, but a special place for good beer. Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Hey, King.
Hey, Magic Pony.
Happy birthday, by the way. Slay Miserable on the line for your Heartless Heathers.
Against Joyride. 360 for the Breakneck Betties.
Betties with a 3-wall in the back, working over Slay Miz, not giving her much of an opportunity to move forward. Scrappy-go-lucky with a quick drop.
Nice force out by Headache as she takes a jammer down for the Breakneck Betties, recycling way to the back of the pack.
Mad Eye Marley in the back with her hands in the air, signaling how far back she needs to go.
Nacho Lucky Dave getting pushed by Headache, trying to take out the Breakneck Betties jammer, Joyride.
That's
Nacho Lucky Day headed to the penalty box, the pivot for the Heartless Heathers.
Slay Miz still trying to work her way forward, finally breaks out. Joyride riding through and calling it off.
PDX Pipeline, your online source for Portland's music, arts, and events that are happening. That's PDX Pipeline.
Hey, Breakneck Alley, let me hear you make some noise for your Breakneck Betties.
And just in time as Liquor and Split pulls through. First, the Blast Unicorn gets an assist from French Tickler at the front of the pack. She clears on her non-scoring pass. French Tickler and Mel Mangles now forming the 2-wall there at the front of the pack. Liquor and Split getting an assist. Oh, she does a jump of the apex, calls off the jam, but she picks up the full 4 points as she shuts down the gap between the Breakneck Betties and the Heartless Heathers.
That was an amazing display of just crazy. Back on the line, that scratcher in the eye for your Heartless Heathers. Much mayhem trying to find her way around the outside, but all she finds is knife in the face.
Shove Me Tender did a nice job at the back of the pack as the pivot there for the Breakneck Betties. However, Heartless Heathers, scratcher in their eye, pulls through to take lead jammer status.
And that's B. Hexen with a low block on turn 2. She'll be spending a minute in the penalty box.
Pack advantage in favor of the Breakneck Betties. However, scratcher in the eye is going to pull through. Let's see if she picks up the full 4 points, and she does.
"15 minutes left in this half. Breakneck Betties only down by 22. For those of you who haven't seen Derby before, that's only one good jam. And Joyride might be the person to do it for them.
Slame is initially trying to go around on the outside. She gets shut down at the front of the pack. We are going to have a no pack assess, I believe. We're going to get blocking out of play penalty assessed to Super 6-pack number 120.
Slame is dragged way to the back, and Joyride is out in front, lead jammer.
And the penalty box is now full.
Joyride re-engaging the pack, weaving around, jumps through, and she'll take home 4 points for that pass.
I'd like to give a big shout out to Kelly Brown, Dead Relief. It is known that Kelly Brown likes roller derby, and we like Kelly Brown. So go check him out at Kelly Brown, Dead Relief.
Liquor and Split on the line for the Breakneck Betties.
And the Blast Unicorn for the Heartless Heathers. Megahertz and Super 6-pack maintain their position in the penalty box, along with B. Hexen and French Tickler for the Heartless Heathers.
Liquor and Split with one more to get by, takes lead jammer on the inside line, right ahead of the Blast Unicorn.
Another nice little jump right along the apex, and she does it cleanly, so she's eligible to pick up that lead jammer status.
Those jumps are super exciting. Blast Unicorn being assessed a skating out of bounds call. That leaves the Breakneck Betties in a power jam situation in the very moment when they could use one the most.
Liquor and Split with a huge shoulder check there on 137 B. Hexen.
Super 6-pack and Megahertz join the line, and the Betties are at full strength.
Oh, Liquor and Split going to try to get around the force to be reckoned with. Mel Mangles, number 5. She pulls around on the outside for the 5-point scoring pass for the Breakneck Betties. French Tickler holding the front with a Nacho Lucky Day. Mel Mangles trying to make her way there. She gets shut down by Lemon Stinger, number 36 for the Breakneck Betties. Liquor and Split. 3 points on the scoreboard for the Breakneck Betties.
I'd like to remind everybody to get your raffle tickets. We've got some fantastic prizes, starting with a great booty basket. And we also have got the fantastic ever wanted Fat Tire Ale bicycle Get your tickets now. They're $1 a piece or $5 for $10.
We now have an official review. Each team is given one official review per period. This is now the opportunity that they are taking that.
And the Purple Rain is on the floor. Hands in the air if you want a Rose City Rollers t-shirt. The King.
All right, Magic Pony. It looks like right now they're calling an official review to review how many points were scored on that last jam. They want to make sure the score is right before they proceed with this game. Right now we're sitting at 132, 127. We got a tight game with just a few short minutes left.
So this is an opportunity to cheer for either team. 5 points currently separating these teams. The Breakneck Betties coming back in the half. Oh, wait a minute.
It was a good call on that. There will be a point correction. Right now we've got a score of 132, 129. 11 minutes left in this game. You better get rowdy because it's going to get mean here in a minute.
And the crowd went wild as Much Mayhem started her pass and takes lead jammer for the Breakneck Betties in a power jam.
See a line being formed at the back of the pack. The Heartless Heathers trying to run a push to the infield on Much Mayhem. She's able to recover. She pulls her on French Tickler for a 5-point scoring pass. We just had the Breakneck Betties usurp the Heartless Heathers.
Much Mayhem around the outside, calling it off to maintain the lead change that she just forced on this game. 138, Breakneck Betties.
And we got a team timeout, and you know team timeouts are brought to you by DJ Agent Meow.
And we're right back at it. Super six-pack on the line for the Breakneck Betties.
Again, scratcher in the eye. It is going to be Super six-pack to pull through first. Breakneck Betties trying to maintain momentum as they took the lead in the last jam. Scratcher in the eye trying to get around Ripley.
And pushing up front, that Super six-pack on the inside line. She breaks out and calls off that jam. She took the full 4 points.
Well, Jessica Chestnut and Guide Home Loans. Let a Derby girl like Jessica Chestnut help you get a home loan, and that once again is Jessica Chestnut and Guild Home Loans.
Jessica Chestnut, who's blocking for the Breakneck Betties right now.
Mistress of the Knife donning the star for the Heartless Heathers against Liquor and Split, number 523 for the Breakneck Betties.
French Tickler and Mel Mangles with an amazingly strong wall in the back. giving Liquor and Split the time of day.
Knife got through on her initial pass. Liquor and Split trying to attempt to bridge the wall in the front, try to muscle her way through.
Liquor and Split still trying to break out of that wall. Huge tumble on the line, and
that was Scrappy-Go-Lucky with that huge hit on Knife.
And the game is still in play. That's Liquor and Split trying to drive forward on that line.
Knife took herself out of play. This is going to allow Liquor and Split to continue on this jam. Liquor and Split going to try to get around Mel Mangles and Slay Miz. French Tickler goes in for a shoulder check. She's now bridging the pack along with Mel Mangles.
Liquor and Split on her scoring pass. Heartless Heathers trying to get together and reset that defensive line that they had going earlier. Scrappy-Go-Lucky in there for the sweep, cleans them out, and Mel Mangles can't slow her down.
Liquor and Split with a 5-point scoring pass, now advancing the lead for the Breakneck Betties.
Liquor and Split throwing herself at that line. Back at it and pushing them forward. Eventually, they have to let her go. She breaks out, and she'll take the full 5.
20 points now in favor of the Breakneck Betties. Liquor and Split going to try to bust through Mel Mangles, Slay Miz, and French Tickler.
Mel Mangles drops her out and is on the run right as the jam is called.
Davis Law Offices, a law firm specializing in employment law, civil rights law, and family and juvenile law. That's David Law Offices.
Slay Miz picked up a forearm penalty. She will sit in the penalty box, joining her jammer, Mistress of the Knife, for the Heartless Heathers. Much mayhem starting out in a power jam, trying to skirt between French Tickler and That's all right.
And Knife back on the track. And what we call a panty pass. Knife gave the jammer cap to the French Tickler.
French Tickler looking to get around Megahertz 00. Mel Mangles going in for a sweep. She takes Megahertz to the infield.
Much mayhem pulling through, drop to the outside, jumps back at it. Knife takes a swing and a miss. Much mayhem breaks out, picks up her points, and calls it off.
Open Space Cafe, brunch, bar, Wi-Fi, embrace the pace at Open Space Cafe.
The Blast Unicorn going against Joyride for the Breakneck Betties. The Blast Unicorns gets infield.
And it's Joyride along the inside, taking lead jammer for the Breakneck Betties.
Blocking out of play assessed to Scrappy-Go-Lucky, number 94 for the Breakneck Betties.
Joyride on the run on the inside line, drops through, picks up her points. And keeps running.
Joyride running down the clock a little bit with 5 minutes, 40 seconds left on the period clock, and currently the score sitting in favor of the Breakneck Betties.
Liquor and Split on the line for the Breakneck Betties again in this jam with Scratcher in the eye.
Headache, number 71, is sitting in the penalty box for the Heartless Heathers. Scrappy-Go-Lucky also sitting in the penalty box for the Breakneck Betties.
Liquor and Split playing a little jammer on jammer defense right at the very beginning of that jam. picked up a forearm penalty, dropping Scratcher in the eye out. And Scratcher is out in the power jam.
Chestnut's headed to the penalty box.
Breakneck Betty's down 2 out on the track right now. Scrappy Go Lucky gets back in the action. Scratcher driving it forward, picks up another 5.
A 14-point difference now separating these teams. Scratcher in the eye going for another scoring pass. She's going to get knocked around the front of the pack. She's going to get knocked out of bounds.
Heartless Heather's doing a great job setting up a wall and preventing the Breakneck Betties from dragging Scratcher any further back than they could right at the whistle.
Well, we got an 11-point game. Hey, Heathers fans, make some noise! Oh, what about you, Breakneck Alley? You got anything to say about that?
The Blast Unicorn.
Liquor and Split back on the track.
Slayman is going to try to shut her down with French Tickler at the back of the pack.
Liquor and Split with a huge hit drops Blast Unicorn in the straightaway and makes the run for the inside.
Liquor and Split is through on her initial pass. Ripley working with a Shove Me Tender at the front of the pack.
Blast Unicorn dropped to the end and calls it off.
Oh dear.
And it's a 5-point game, 164-159. We got 2.5 minutes left in this game. If you want to see good Portland action, now is the time.
Nacho Lucky Day on the line for the Heartless Heathers.
Much mayhem for the Breakneck Betties. Trying to pull around French Tickler, the pivot at the front. Struggling now. Again, nice positional block by Frenchie at the front of the pack.
Heathers, Frenchie, and Hard Ash. They can't quite slow her down. She takes lead jammer.
Lemon Stinger with a huge takedown on Nacho Lucky Day.
Nacho Lucky Day working the inside line, and it's Megahertz drops her to the inside.
Nacho Lucky Day recycled to the back of the pack. Much mayhem now trying to get through on a scoring pass. Mel Mangles trying to break through Chestnuts, and it's Much mayhem for a 5-point scoring pass for the Breakneck Betties.
Nacho Lucky Day still trying to fight through that red wall in the front.
Well, Effie Stoneham goes in for a takeout on a Lemon Stinger. Lemon Stinger just able to evade that.
Effie Stoneham and the French Tickler finally punching Much Mayhem's card back there with Mel Mangles and dragging her to the back of the pack as she calls it off.
3 points for Much Mayhem.
Coming up after the victory laps, the end of this game, stick around to watch the MVP awards. And then the raffle at intermission.
B. Hexen with a takeout on the straightaway on Liquor and Split, the jammer for the Breakneck Betties. Oh, a scratcher.
Scratcher with some amazingly athletic skating on that inside line. Drop to the inside and drag to the back of the pack.
And with that, we've got a timeout on the track. 1 minute left in this period, a score of 172-159.
This team timeout will create a room for one final jam.
All right, Dragon Lady, we got a real nail biter on our hand, and if you can believe it, there's nobody sitting in the Pabst Blue Ribbon penalty box. We've got 5-on-5.
Once we get this jam started, it'll be scratcher in the eye for the Heartless Heathers against Much Mayhem for the Breakneck Betties.
And she'll be going up against Scratcher in the eye for your Heartless Heathers. Looks like they made us. And this jam is on. Both jammers engaged to the back of the pack, trying to will themselves through that wall.
Much Mayhem takes a little bit of a spill, but recovers quickly. Much Mayhem going to try to get around French Tickler.
Scrappy Go Lucky with some absolutely genius offensive work. Opened up a hole and gave it to Much Mayhem.
And
Much Mayhem wisely calls off this jam. We've got an unofficial score, 172-159. Well, we're going to sit it down at Magic Pony out there looking to get the MVP. But if this is any indication of the roller derby we still got yet to come, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats.